All right, welcome back to the second video in the Ultimate Trade Setup series. We're gonna dive into more examples of the only pattern that you should be trading. So let's jump into the charts. All right, so here we're looking at US 30 on a 5-minute, and we're also gonna be looking at a 15-minute time frame. Now, if you watched any other videos, you know the basis of the setup at this point, and we're gonna run through some of the main components and then my thought process coming into my session, which is right around 7 o'clock, getting prepared for 8 a.m. And specifically with US 30, I'm paying attention more so at 9:30 a.m. Eastern when we have the open of equity. So this is really some beautiful price action here. So what we're really seeing coming into London session and coming into when I started to jump on and analyze the charts, I really want to pay attention to a couple key patterns here. Now, I'm going to give you a second and you can pause this video if needed. I want you to pause it and see if you can identify our signature pattern here. So what I'm seeing is we had some equal highs here. And then we come into the overlap, and then we come into New York session and we see this candle here. And afterwards, we can see price push up above these equal highs. And then more importantly, what happens after? It runs to the downside, running on this low here, ultimately making a lower low. So at this point here, that's a beautiful signature pattern. This is what you always want to be looking for. This is the pattern that has allowed me to find consistency in so many others in the marketplace. Now, this candle is our focal point. So I'm going to mark up this 5-minute manipulation candle. We'll mark it up 5-minute. Now, keep in mind, this is outside my trading hours now. This was basically setting up the previous day. So when I come on, I'm looking to see what happened during Asian session and London session. Did I see continuation? Did I see new manipulation? Did I see price come up and respect this manipulation and then start breaking down? Now, of course, this could have been a setup that you just slapped a sell limit right on this here. But personally, I don't do sell limits at night on US 30. I more or less like to reevaluate things in real time with US 30, and primarily I am executing my trades right around 9:30 a.m. Eastern when equity hits. So ideally, when I see this and I'm marking my charts up at night, I would love to see price push up into this manipulation candle during Asian and then start breaking down into London. And then that's where I can anticipate a entry to take advantage of this continuation. So let's go back to the current price action. So there we can see price pulling back. We're in Asian session. We can see price working itself back up. And there we go, coming up into that point of interest. So right now it's inside the manipulation candle. So ideally, we want to see price start breaking down into London. And then we want to see what we can find coming into the overlap or coming into leading up to equity. So at this point, we can see if I jump up to the 15-minute, we can see we have a strong bearish environment here. We have some nice higher time frame targets. But we're just going to keep this thing more on a micro view. We're not going to get into a higher time frame full top down on this. So at this point, we can see the continuation here. And now I'm looking for another pattern. So keep in mind, like, you're going to see a reflection of all these patterns on different time frames. We can see patterns like this on daily, weekly, monthly, down to a 1-minute. So now that we can see price respecting that manipulation candle here on the 5-minute, this nice signature pattern here, that's what I want to look for here coming into the overlap and coming into equity. So I'm going to press play. Now when I see something like this too, and I can see a lot of short-term highs being created, ideally when I see stuff like this, I want to see price push up, and that can kind of induce traders to start buying. You'll have trend line traders. They'll look for a break, retest, something like this. Or you'll have support and resistance traders. So ideally, a perfect scenario would be something like this. Price shooting up and then break down. And then that will be creating another signature pattern very similar to what we saw over here. Running on highs and then creating a lower low and then look for a retest back into that manipulation candle and then for it to proceed to run on lows here. So that is our primary target here. This is our previous day low. So let's run it. And this will lead up to the setup that we saw. So there we can see price breaking out. We can see price pushing up through this, running on all of these short-term highs that were created in London. Now, ideally, what I want to see here is price come down and make a lower low. So let's continue. Now you can see we're in the background of the maroon. So this is signifying that we're in New York, London overlap. And you can see here, price pushed up, and now we can see, if I switch over, we can see a confirmed lower low. So with that being said, now we have a nice signature pattern. We have our up candle here that took the highs that led to the lower low here. Let's mark this up so we know that's a selling candle. And then we're looking for it to run on these lows here. I'm also going to put the fib tool on this because this here being our trading range, this being our pullback here, we're looking for this to ultimately take this low but come into these fib extension levels and make a lower low. So we're looking for price to come into this area here, which we can also look for other higher time frame lows over to the left that we can use to target. Because again, I'm looking for that 1 to 4, 1 to 5 min risk to reward here. So one thing I'm going to do with the US 30 is I'm going to mark up 9:30 a.m. So that is right around here. Now you can see that was the start of the open for equity, right? 90 minutes into New York session. And that is when we can, it's very similar to the overlap with New York and London. We can anticipate more volatility. We can anticipate stronger impulsive continuation moves. So here, with the respect of the manipulation candle here and price breaking down through London, that's what I'm expecting to happen all through the rest of the overlap into New York. And now into the overlap leading up to equity, we had a new signature pattern created, more of a micro view inside the higher time frame setup here. So this ideally is what we're looking for entry. We're looking for price to come up and respect this new manipulation candle and then run on these lows here, which is the previous day low, ultimately coming into these areas here. And this was a really beautiful trade here. So there's the entry, and then boom, just melts like butter right down to this target here, and then overall comes down a little bit longer into our fib extension levels, which gave us a confirmed lower low on a higher time frame. So another really, really beautiful trade here, and this continued to fall off. You can see it came right pretty deep into the fib extension level. So another really, really powerful trade here. So this next trade that we're gonna cover is one of my all-time favorites, and it can even pull the okie doke on smart money traders. So I'll see you in the next one.